furniture here. You can see in your drawing below, on the bottom drawing of page 32, that we're going to have here eventually one great big area, and that is going to be the outer court. And then inside the outer court, we have that tent-like figure that will be divided up into two segments, the holy place and the Holy of Holies. Inside the Holy of Holies will be the ark, and on the ark will be the mercy seat where God meets with the high priest. And on that ark will also be cherubim, which should also bring you back to the Garden of Eden. The gold and the fine jewels should all bring you back to the Garden of Eden. Can you see what God is doing here? There's a recreation. So, inside that ark, we'll find out next week in the book of Numbers, is going to be placed the tablets of stone, the manna, and inside there's going to be Aaron's rod, speaking of authority. We'll find that story next week. Now, what's so interesting is that when you go into a Catholic church, you will see this type of setup to where you have the outer court and you have the holies. And in many Catholic churches, you'll have the tabernacle placed at the very back of the altar, like the Holy of Holies, the Ark of the Covenant, holding the very presence of God inside of it. And the Ark of the Covenant was the most precious thing in Israel. Well, you saw Indiana Jones, you all know that. It was the most precious thing in Israel's history, was the Ark of the Covenant. And the Ark of the Covenant is a type also of somebody in the New Testament who is the new Ark, namely Mary. Wait till we get to that. You're just going to explode with joy when you see the parallels between Mary and the Ark of the Covenant containing the very Logos, the Word of God. It's amazing. And so we have furnishings coming up to the holy place, the bronze altar, the laver, the golden candlesticks inside, table of showbread, and of course the Ark of the Covenant. And we have the veil that segments the holy from the Holy of Holies, and this is the veil that ripped when Jesus was on the cross. This veil, which then was part of Solomon's temple, no longer a tent, but a permanent dwelling in Jerusalem, that curtain was said to have been somewhere between 13, 14 inches thick, ripped, opening up the Holy of Holies at that point. Very, very dramatic. So we go through all of these different furnishings all the way to chapter 31, and then chapter 32, everything changes. Moses is up on the mountain, and he's delayed from coming down from the mountain. The people gathered themselves together to Aaron and said to him, and I get a kick out of this because this is one of the, honestly, I even wrote it in one of my Bibles, one of my first questions in heaven is going to be for Aaron. And they gathered themselves to Aaron and they said, "Up, make us gods who shall go up before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him." So Aaron says, "All right, take off the gold that you got from Egypt, all that gold. Give me all of the gold. Give me all the gold." So he takes all the gold at their hand and fashioned it with a graving tool and made a molten calf. It's very explicit there. He took a tool, made a dumb golden calf. And they said, "These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt." Egypt is still in their heart. Egypt is still in their heart. And they've been now to Sinai for a period of time now, and eating manna bread and everything else down there. You would think they would know by now that they could trust in the Lord. Well, the Lord said to Moses, and I get a kick out of this in verse 7. It's actually funny in Hebrew. The Lord said to Moses, it's not funny, but it's ironic. "Go down, for your people whom you brought out from the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. And they have turned aside quickly." And then it says in verse 9, it says, and the Lord said to Moses, "I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may burn hot against them, and I may consume them. But of you I will make a great nation." Now if I was Moses at that point, I thought, you mean you could just sort of like wipe them out and start over with me?